Today we take a look at Kunlun Red Star alongside our KHL insider Gillian Kemmerer. My name is Ben Holden, and there are a lot of layers with this team, this Kunlun Red Star team. Originally, they called Beijing home. They've been all over the place. The last 2 years, they've been playing outside of Moscow. It's an interesting story with a lot of layers to it. Where do we start? I suppose we start with what they're doing and the upcoming Olympics that will be in Beijing. Tell us about the dynamic of what this whole organization is going through this season, along with getting ready for the Olympics.
So full disclosure, I began my career in hockey as a locker room reporter for Kunlun Red Star, so I've been all over the world with them, all of their homes in China, Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen. I am excited to head to Matishi later this season to see their Russian home, which they've been playing in since COVID-19 closed borders. But this is a fascinating organization. They were started with a dual mandate. They were originally going to both compete in the KHL as well as serve as a vehicle for Chinese players to naturalize in time for the Olympics. There are a number of Canadians, Chinese Americans that have competitive experience even in the NHL who were naturalized or hoping to naturalize in time to compete for Team China in Beijing 2022. This is a team so diplomatically important that President Xi Jinping and Putin shook hands over the charter when it began. So it's not just an exercise in the Olympics and in hockey expansion, it's also very much an exercise in diplomacy.
That is incredible stuff. That's Gillian Kemmerer, our insider here in the KHL. Let's talk a little bit about their coach, who will be the coach of what you just talked about. The dynamic, I've never seen a team like this. I don't think anybody has in terms of pro hockey, and certainly in this league. Ivan Zanata is their guy. He's going to coach them in the Olympics. What do people need to know about Ivan Zanata?
Zanata is sort of a match made in heaven for this team because he was born in Canada, but he competed for the Italian national team in 1992. Interestingly enough, Italy did not win gold at that Olympics, but a team that would have been the Soviet team, they went as something called the unified team because the Soviet Union had just broken up. Alexei Kovalev, a young Alexei Kovalev, was just breaking onto the scene. He's actually now an assistant coach alongside Ivano Zanata at Kunlun Red Star. Really interesting coach in the sense that he's introduced some new systems. They're running a 1-3-1 that I certainly haven't seen from this team before, but he was both perfect in background and also in experience. He spent a lot of time in and around the KHL.
Yeah, runs their power play, runs their offense. Anyone that knows Alexei Kovalev knows how good of a player he was. Clayton Beddoes is their defensive coach, works with them on the penalty kill, so they've got a good staff in place there. You and I both know Brandon Yip. I was with him in the American League, saw him in college here in the U.S. You work with a team, as you said, great relationship with Brandon. Brandon's in an interesting situation. He really is the face of this whole thing that they have going on with Kunlun, with the Chinese Olympic team. A lot of pressure, but if anybody can deal with it, you and I both know it's Brandon Yip to carry that flag proudly for the country of China.
Talk about leading by example.
Yeah.
He just reached his 100th point. It's a milestone that no other player in the Kunlun organization has reached. He is an ambassador for hockey in China first and foremost. He said to me, look, we don't know what the future holds for this Chinese hockey team and its composition. We don't expect to medal, but if someday I'm watching the NHL draft and I see a young Chinese player coming up saying, I watched my team in Beijing 2022 and that inspired me to play, he goes, then we know we've all done our job. And I think that's spoken not only like a true captain, but a true ambassador for the sport.
Yeah, we both talked to him recently and we stay in contact with him, and that's powerful stuff. It really is, to hear you tell what he said to you about if you help and see one young kid. I mean, that's powerful stuff. So maybe you've heard the name Chelios before in hockey. Let's think about it a little bit.
Yeah, sounds familiar. Rings a bell.
Chris Chelios has 2 sons. His daughter does well. She's in broadcasting. But in terms of his sons, Jake Chelios, he wears number 7 like Dad did in Chicago. And he's on this team. He's one of 6 or 7 guys that played college hockey, started his pro career here in the States, like Yip. Yip was in the National League and all that. And Jake Chelios, a very interesting story, and it's great to see the family legacy continuing on now with Kunlun Red Star.
Well, speaking of his number, so when I spoke with Jake when he first joined Kunlun Red Star, I made note that he was wearing the number 7. And he said, well, that wasn't really my first choice. I actually wanted to wear 27, but Adam Cracknell took it. Then I wanted to wear 42, and then finally they said, how about 7? And he said, my dad was thrilled because he's been trying to get me to wear that for years.
Yep, yeah, it's a great dynamic. It's great to see their family still involved in the game. In terms of a player, what do you What do you see in Jake Chelios? How is he valuable to this Kunlun outfit on the ice?
I think Jake Chelios is a very versatile player, and actually another departure from Dad. He wanted to be a forward growing up, but he didn't have so much luck there, he said. I find that hard to believe, but he wound up switching to defense, is scratched the first game, and then scores a goal in the first 3 games apiece. He plays as a defenseman. He said, I wouldn't have done that as a forward, so he continues to produce for Kunlun.
Don't change a thing after that, right? That's our KHL insider, Gillian Kemmerer. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Ben Holden. That concludes our look today at Kunlun Red Star.